America has been the best friend that Korea has ever had in modern time. American allied forces liberated Korea from colonialism and imperialism during World War II. When South Korea was pushed down to the Busan perimeter in the Korean War, it looked like there was no hope. Then the US-led UN forces, under the leadership of General Douglas MacArthur, landed in Incheon and cut the North Korean forces in half. The joint forces pushed up and almost won the war in the other direction. But then a flood of Chinese forces rushed down and pushed things back to the original line of demarcation. That war has not ended to this day. We remember the sacrifice of the brave warriors who defended this country. They came from over 20 countries, and this day, as we remember their sacrifice, we do not want their sacrifices to be in vain. Their blood was shed for democracy to flourish here in South Korea. Their blood was shed so that there could be a constitutional republic here in South Korea. And today, we fight for democracy. We fight for justice. We fight for the preservation of the constitutional republic of South Korea. The Chinese Communist Party is continuing to infiltrate South Korea. What they could not completely win with bullets, they are using weapons like fake ballots. They are coming and bringing Chinese Communist Party influence into this country at a level never seen before. You had Chinese and Vietnamese nationals about voting in the last Korean election. There are reports that Wang Huning, one of the top leaders in the Chinese Communist Party, has been the mastermind behind election stealing. The Chinese Communist Party is #1 in the world in organ transplants because they murder their own people to harvest their organ. This is a country that is trying to dominate the whole world, even the moon and Mars. But Korea should not be a vassal state of China. Korea should, instead of being under the boot of the Chinese Communist Party. Xi Jinping is not the head of Korea. The Chinese Communist Party is not allowed to rule Korea. The Chinese Communist Party supports the worst totalitarian dictatorship in the world, namely North Korea. Over 90% of North Korea's economic interactions are coming from China. North Korea is the most unjust, evil, corrupt, and poorest country in the world. There is no human right that they do not violate. They violate all human rights. If you have any doubt about whether or not it is good to live in North Korea, ask those who have lived in a North Korean concentration camp. South Korea should not become like North Korea. Those in South Korea who want South Korea to become like North Korea should go live in North Korea. The North Korean people have no human rights that are recognized by the North Korean regime. They have no freedom. If you say one thing against Kim Jong-un, you are dead. You have no freedom of speech. You have no freedom of expression. You have no freedom of conscience. You have no religious liberty. You are forced to worship the three Kims: Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un. You can be sent to a concentration camp for singing a Korean pop song, or watching a Korean drama, reading a Bible, or going to church. Why would anyone here in South Korea want to live in a country like that? But these precious freedoms and rights are being eroded here in this country. Some of the best leaders in South Korea who are willing to serve their country with all their heart are being persecuted in various ways, starting from President Yoon. President Yoon saw the dangers from the Chinese Communist Party and from North Korea and the dangers of fraudulently stolen elections. And at great risk to himself, he martial law to gain evidence of the election fraud. He stepped out to awaken the sleeping people inside of South Korea. He was thrown in prison for 52 days of solitary confinement, and now he is in prison again. He is suffering in a small cell without air conditioning in the oppressive heat and humidity. He is not getting the medicine he needs for his diabetes and shingles. Getting one bottle of water, 500 milliliters per day. He is not being allowed to exercise. Are they trying to kill him in there? This is a violation of human rights. This is cruel, inhumane, degrading treatment. This is no way to treat the president that you, the Korean people, chose through your votes. President Yoon should be released. Heroes like him should be respected and treated well for what they are doing for this country. President Yoon recognized the dangers of the CCP and North Korea, and he was strongly aligned with the United States of America. Almost 90% of South Koreans believe that the United States of America is the most important ally of South Korea. 90% of South Koreans are against the Chinese Communist Party. I do not believe the Korean people elected an administration that is pro-CCP, pro-North Korea, and anti-American. President Yoon wanted to wake the nation up in regarding election fraud. By cheating, you can put the worst people in office. The NEC is a criminal fraud organization. When I led the International Election Monitoring Team, the situation here in terms of elections was worse than we expected. We saw so many indicators of a badly run election that needs to be corrected. We are fully convinced that the last election, as other elections had been, was stolen. We wrote a report and we presented our findings in the National Press Club and in a congressional briefing. We have sent our report into the US federal government, including to the Director of National Intelligence and the Department of Justice. We also gave to the US government a list of heroes here in South Korea who should be protected from persecution. Election fraud is a US problem, it is a Korean problem, and is a problem around the world. USAID funded the National Election Commission and AWEB, which are at the center of election fraud in Korea and around the world. Because US governmental money went to NEC and to AWEB, the US government has a right to investigate in depth into AWEB and NEC. And in the Mutual Defense Treaty between South Korea and the United States, Article 3 requires the allies to fight against cyber attacks. I would ask President Trump to expand his executive order investigating the 2020 US election internationally. Just like the election was stolen in Brazil and the president of Brazil was persecuted and thrown in prison, similar parallel things have happened in South Korea. The US has the best ally in the region and one of the best allies and friends that the US has in the world right here in South Korea. The US has a golden opportunity to be able to try to restore democracy and justice in South Korea. But the Korean people are not helpless in the face of these things. If the people of South Korea peacefully rise up, speak out, stand up, then there can be major change in your country. And as I see the energy and the passion in this place, I think it can happen. This is your country. This is your moment. Seize it. Someday, I believe, Lord willing, you will be able to tell your children and grandchildren about how you fought to save Korea. The question of the hour is Korea going to go the path of communization, or is Korea going to go the path of democracy, freedom, and justice? In the words of President Trump, it is time to fight, fight, fight! May the roar for justice and freedom and democracy be so loud from this peninsula that it will travel across and awaken America to what is happening. And may South Korea restore its democracy and become a model and example to the whole world.
몇 가지 질문 드리도록 하겠습니다.
왜 그래? 좋은 날에 고생했어.
이번 방문에 윤석열 대통령을 만나실 계획이 있으신지요?
너무나 감사합니다.
Yes.
많은 분들이 모스탄대사님께서 한국 대사로 오시기를 기대하고 있는데요. 사실 사람의 미래는 모르는 일입니다. 그런데 이게 얼마나 가능한 일인지, 그리고 또 정부로부터 어떤 제안을 받으셨는지 나눠주실 수 있으시면 말씀을 부탁드리겠습니다.
So I heard from somebody who talked with people in the administration that I am one of the finalists for this position. If God and President Trump and the US Senate agree, I would be honored and willing to serve.
이번 방문을 통해서 한국 분들의 꼭 전하고 싶으신 메시지가 있으시면 부탁드리겠습니다.
I know that things look hard and tough right now, but great moments in history are not won easily. It requires faith, courage, and perseverance. It calls for prayers to Almighty God. So let me encourage you not to give up until you see it through.